we're back here on the party on CHMR. Bryce and Dave took over for a bit. Thanks, guys.
As you can tell by the stop in mid-song. And yeah,
that was all right.
Lack of production. No, all right, so we've got our special guests here. They're rearing and ready to go here. The Navigator Black and the Indighost. And are you guys ready to go?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah? You want to kick right into it?
Is there any way we can hear our levels through the thing first?
That you guys can hear it? Well, I can hear it fine. Do you guys need a headset? Or...
I'll get a headset. If you got an extra one.
I can give you, give you that one. With that.
Musicians, man. Anybody in a band must be a loser, because...
Is that good?
Sounds fine to me.
Good. Sounds good.
Good, cool.
You're the professional.
All right. You guys ready to go?
Yeah, I think so.
Whenever you're ready.
Cool.
Do it.
Cool.
Cool. That was awesome. What was that song called? You want to come over and share this mic with us?
Dude, Alex.
The song's called The Opener. That's our first song.
And we're back in here live with Navigator Black and the Indighost. Our host here is apparently yakking up his guts somewhere. In the middle of the song, he got up all excited. I'm like, okay, he's getting into it. And then he took off to the bathroom, and I'm assuming he's doing what you do there. But, so how long you guys been a band for?
Close to a year and a half now, I'd say.
Yeah, it's almost a year and a half.
You guys definitely have a unique sound. If you had to describe your sound, though, I mean, like, I've been told I went to school with you, so, I mean, you've described it every day in a different way. But, like, it's definitely a psychedelic kind of thing you guys got going on, really experimental. So, why don't you talk a bit about it?
Well, I guess the best description that we've heard overall is probably it's like an energy drink for your ears.
Yeah.
It's tacky, and it's colorful, and it's a cheap buzz that doesn't last very long. But you enjoy it while you got it.
Yeah, I like the way you guys build up your songs. It's kind of like it tells a bit of a story as you're going, because it's like, do you guys always play the same thing every time, or is it kind of just like an improv when you get into it?
Oh God, no! It's different every time. Like, we always keep a huge jam element to it.
Do you guys have any recordings up, or is this just? I would say like
we were actually working on some recording today before we came up here.
Oh,
we're
cool.
trying to get a lot of our old stuff out of the way first before we
working on the first album.
Yeah.
You guys have any shows coming up?
Next week or this week?
Yeah, this coming Thursday at Distortion, and
you guys are regulars at CBTGs as well, right? Yeah, I've seen you guys there before. It's generally when I see you guys, it's pretty funky, funktastic sort of deal. Everyone's dancing, having a good time. It's definitely good drinking music, I would certainly say.
Awesome.
The whiskey sours
for Bryce. Yeah, for Bryce. I mean, you know my story. All right, you guys want to do another song?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Let's hear it. What's this one called?
This one's called Mega Disco.
Mega Disco with Navigator Black and the Indighost.
Who's that?
I
Brett?
definitely ran over something and made something explode in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
Cool.
it happens though.
So I kind of left and came back, but so far it's going good. Sounds good.
Thanks.
Yeah,
it's
it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's actually, I think it's my first time hearing you guys. Well, I did hear you guys on J Frost show.
Yeah,
Haven't been into your shows yet. That's
it's a shame.
worse. I know. I
I
should be
watched
going to your shows.
the Mega Disco, the one you guys just played. I watched that video on Facebook
Nice.
when I heard you guys playing.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So where can any potential fans hear your guys' music if they wanted to check you guys out online?
Right now, just our Facebook page, but we're working on getting the
YouTube
album
videos
stuff.
and
Yeah,
stuff
so
like
go
that?
first to the Facebook page. We update fairly regularly.
Yeah, I got you guys on Facebook.
We'll like
You guys
reload videos that people have up.
What I
and
like
stuff.
about you guys is you guys who does your pictures and your show, like your show posters, because
We
they're about the most creative thing.
We've both done those for a while.
It's just like the most obscene thing I can think of, and then a picture of you guys somehow morphed into it with a face with like a dinosaur body or some crazy thing going on. It's really unique, and I like that about you guys. It's not a lot of bands. It's hard to find like a legit kind of poster making, like we've done. Did you do the last one for ours?
I had the idea.
It's like a picture in the middle of us.
It was
Like-
just I ripped off of every poster there ever was.
Yeah, it's cool when
Just
bands do their own
stick a
posters.
poster, like a picture of us, and then say, "Here's it is."
Mm.
That didn't make any sense.
It is.
Here's it is.
Here's
That's
it is.
cool.
Oh my. So yeah, I don't have any questions because I can't. I don't know what you guys said, so I'm not gonna say anything.
The
I
raw
gotta ask.
basics that
You
you
guys are
ask
the
every
hosts.
band when they comes in.
Yeah, and I gotta ask this one: Navigator Black and Indighost. Where did that name come from?
Oh, jeez, there's a bunch of stories behind that. Well, Navigator Black is just a character from a show I used to watch when I was a kid called Captain Star, and he was just this, like, I don't know, this plump little man who wore a suit, and he had his own cafe where he was obsessed with fish, and he didn't mind serving them, but he loved his fish as well. It was a bit of an ironic thing,
Yeah.
but I mean, I always liked that name, and I figured I'd use that. And then when Paul joined on, I was like, you gotta have a cool band
Gotta
name
have
that
a color name.
Gotta have an alias.
has to do with the color. You need some sort of stage name. And he came over one day and he's like, the Indighost. And that's what we were gonna. We'll just go by this now until like we get a band on the go and we come up with a full name and stuff. But
Yeah.
all those other members never showed up, so we just kept
Every
Navigator
one of
Black.
us,
you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys tend to have kind of like a simulated sort of like if you guys see the rig in here, it's ridiculous. It's like
We should take some pictures and
Yeah,
put it on
Do it.
Facebook.
Yeah.
like I went to recording school actually with Alex here, and in every lesson we've learned of, like, this shouldn't make sense, but the way you guys do it, it's got this unique vibe, kind of like a vintagey sound, and I really dig it. But did you guys ever intend on putting anybody else into the band? Like, were you ever going to make it like a full band deal? I know you don't like really dealing with bands all that much, but I mean, with this kind of vibe here, it'd be a shame not to try it.
Well, it's just been hard getting other musicians like that have the same schedules to get together and
Yeah.
jam and stuff.
Yeah.
We've had like live jams where other people have gotten into the mix. Sometimes it turns out pretty awesome. Other times it's a total nightmare and we're just
Yeah.
struggling to get through the end of the night, like so we can drink away the last of that set.
All right, so you guys gonna get into another song here? Or?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
This one is called Neon Highway.
welcome back. We're back in we're back in the room with Navigator Black and the Indighost.
I think I just tried every button in
Our,
the song work, and that didn't work at all.
Our host bailed again. He's clearly not feeling well tonight, I'm sure. And we all wish him the best here. Dave and I literally were just sitting here, and we're like, alright, we're going to play a song. We got this all figured out. You don't even have to worry about us. As soon as that song ended, the guys were done. We started flicking, touching every single button here. Not one thing would make the sound come on. So we just like, say something. So well, here we are. And what song was that, guys?
Neon Highway.
Neon Highway. Are these all new songs, or are these like majority of these new?
The first three were new songs. We only played
Ish.
two.
What? Yeah, we've only played 3.
Oh yeah, the first two were new songs,
Yeah.
and this one was like kind of like a reimagination of an old song where we didn't quite have all the ideas there to begin with, but then like later on, once we learned more and stuff, we were able to bring it to life.
Now, what I'm interested in is, have you guys ever tried to do anything with vocals?
Yeah, we messed around with it a few times, and we're still just trying to find like the right approach to take with the whole thing, because a lot of the music is jam based, and improvising vocals is an entirely different skill altogether.
Absolutely.
You think it's super auto-tuned.
Yeah. We're just gonna learn to scat sing, and we're gonna add that in.
Those T-Pain, Mike. Secret that.
And we'll just set it to the same key this time. Just
Yeah.
scream it.
Exactly.
Now, I've seen you before playing downtown, and your specialty happened to be you're doing Beach Boys covers. You guys ever do any of that?
No, not particularly. We try and do more stuff like that's like based around their sound. So we'll take on like scattered Daft Punk song or Rocket or something like that.
Talking Heads.
Talking Heads and
Yeah.
do that.
All right, awesome, guys. You want to do another song for us?
Yeah, sure. Let's do another song.
All right, cool. What's up? Real host is back. back live with Navigator Black and Indighost on the party. They just played another crazy, insane techno sort of jam for us. Seems like, watching the facial expressions, I can't tell if one of you didn't like what you did or you really liked what you did.
Oh no, it came together. It sounded good in the end.
Yeah, it was really cool. I like you guys. It's like you're definitely like you can tell the improv's going on, but it's just like. I know for my personal band, when we improv, we sound like,
It seems like
absolute
you
garbage.
guys have been playing together for a very long time.
You guys are very in sync with each other,
Yeah.
and that's hard to find your musical soulmate, I suppose, whatever you guys would like to call yourselves. But, so, do you guys, what kind of plans do you guys have for the future here?
Well, we're working on recording a bunch of our old stuff right now.
You looking to do an album or an EP or something like that, or?
We're gonna do the first album.
Yeah, it's gonna be an album.
That's cool.
It's not really our old stuff. It's just
Well,
stuff we played a year ago that never got recorded.
Are you doing it in a studio, or are you guys doing it yourselves?
Self-produced. That's the only way to do it.
It is nowadays. Did you guys, I was meaning to ask you, did you do the RPM challenge?
Yes,
Yep.
we did.
Oh, wicked. Where can anybody hear that?
On the website, I suppose.
Yeah, it's on
Or
the RPM Challenge website.
if you message one of us, we can give you some personal
Yeah.
copies.
Go to our Facebook page. Let us know.
Yeah.
What's your Facebook page? What's the just Navigator Black?
Black
and
and
the,
Indighost.
yeah, the one and only Navigator Black in the Indighost. I'm gonna play another song for you here real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll hear some more live stuff with Navigator Black and the Indighost.
And as I was saying, I think Bryce is our new future co-host here on the party. He's doing a good job.
Bring some sex appeal to the radio. That's what you gotta do.
No, but I tell you who are doing a good job. These guys here, Navigator Black and the Indighost, they're fantastic. I think we should get a show going on between these guys and you guys. Navigator Black.
That would
and,
be cool.
And Rocket Rocket Show.
Psychedelic funk show.
Yeah.
Sounds like party.
That'd be cool. Just throwing it out there. I'm sure people are like screaming at the radios, like, "Yeah, we want to hear it," and then so we can't hear it. Give the people what they want. So you guys got one more song?
Sure.
Yeah, and then we'll say our goodbyes and
All right.
cool.
And we'll miss you.
Yeah, we'll miss you. All right, let's hear it, guys. All right. So, thanks guys for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Awesome show. So do you guys have a show coming up? Anything planned?
Our next show will be this coming Thursday at Distortion.
At Distortion?
Yep.
Okay, so definitely check that out. Down at Distortion. What time does it start?
10, 11.
10, 11, okay. It's our show, so check it out. Navigator Black and the Indighost. Check them out on Facebook as well. And all their information is up there, so check them out. They're an awesome bunch of guys. And check out their show next week, Thursday at Distortion. Thanks, guys, for coming in.
Thank you
very much.